Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I look forward to seeing you over the weekend. Chodesh Tov. I wish you a good month. Today is Rosh Chodesh Elul. It's the beginning of a very important month as we begin to consider the most important elements of our lives in a more intense way. And we also think about the meaning of our connection to a tradition and even a connection to God. Don't turn off as I teach a little bit of Torah, because I don't know if there's anything that can be more relevant to our lives and to our world than this parsha. It begins with a commandment to appoint judges and officials for your community. Shoftim v'shotrim. Shotrim are either the officials who enforce the law enforcement, or the Shotrim may be the officials who represent governing bodies in addition to judges. What we find in this week's Parsha is that we are obligated to have a division of power in our society. A little bit later in the Parsha, we read about the appointment of a king. And one of the things we learn about the king is that the king cannot have too many horses, he cannot have an army that's too big, he can't have too many wives, and he cannot have too much gold or silver. In other words, his power has to be limited. In society and culture and in nations, power also has to be limited. And that's why we have this concept of the division of powers. No branch of the government can have too much power. It's so relevant today in the conversations taking place in this country and what's happening legally in this country, as well as the conversations that are taking place in Israel and other parts of the world. If there's an elevator speech about the Torah and God, I think the speech might have to do with power. We realize how power can corrupt. We see it in so many different places in life. It's one of the reasons that we have a God who's all-powerful, and yet a God who can't really be known, can't really be seen, but represents something. It's a metaphor for the fact that nobody can have too much power. Nobody can have all the power, and not even any single system can have all the power. And in that way, we have to work together as a society, as people in a society, as different branches of a government, as different nations in the world, realizing that at the end of the day, we have to check each other's power and learn ways to create justice in the world. For that may be, in fact, what is most important in this Torah of ours, in this Torah which is very concerned about chesed, about kindness, about love, as we'll talk about tonight, but also about justice. I wish you good Shabbos, and I look forward to seeing you in Shul, and I hope that this month of Elul provides some time for some very good self-reflection and personal growth. Shabbat Shalom. See you in Shul.